everyone, and welcome back to a new episode talking about Business Central. My name is Guillaume Rocher, and I'm an analyst for Dynamics 365 here at Groupe Azure. And as always, I'm joined with the lovely Taruna.
Hi everyone, Taruna here. So I am the SMB Biz Apps lead at Microsoft Canada, and I'm here to kind of just walk you through today's story with Charlie. Welcome to episode 4 of this series. In the last episode, we explored project and service management features in Business Central. This was especially relevant for ProBark's rental division. So they would be renting out furniture for large conferences or events. And so if you haven't watched that episode and you think it's relevant for your business, you can watch that. If you haven't watched actually our trailer episode, it actually walks you through what the outline of this series is. So I'd suggest that you start there so that we can ensure that you're watching the right video for your day-to-day activities. Because what we're trying to achieve is basically show you how Business Central can help improve your day-to-day work. So today we are going to be following Charlie. Charlie is the new head of finance and accounting, and he just started today. So he's going to make sure that his predecessor had set up everything properly. He'll also he's going to try to get acquainted with the systems, of course, and also just understand what the company finances are and the overall health of the company through Business Central. And so along the way, we're going to learn a lot about some cool features that you can find in there to help your day-to-day activities. And overall just understand why Business Central can help you keep your finances up to speed and up to date. So Charlie will first take a look at the company information and the general ledger information just to get a better sense of where the company currently stands, and then just make sure that everything is configured to his liking. In the company information, he'll understand what the payment tabs are and if those are set up properly and if just the general information of the company is up to date. And then the general ledger setup is all around just ensuring that the currency is also up to date, as well as just getting a sense of what the main bank accounts are, as well as rules on how payments operates for the company. And so these two areas contain some key features to get started for Charlie's first day.
And Taruna, when you mentioned the start at the company information, this is really where you start in terms of how your company is set up. So this is where you're going to put all of your name and basic information for your company, the logo, etc. But what's more interesting for us here on the finance side of things is everything is going to be related to payments. So you can look at the fields on the screen. You're going to put your bank, the branch numbers, the account numbers, how you want your payment routing. If you have IBAN or SWIFT codes, so for all those transactions, you can set up your code there. So this is really kind of like the founding cornerstone. It takes 2 seconds to set up, so really quickly. And so the general ledger setup is the next page that we're going to look at, right? And so of course the general ledger, it's where you keep all your journals, your subledgers, so everything is going to be accounts payable, accounts receivable, all your cash management, and so on. And so Business Central gives you a lot of options here. Where can you allow posting from, posting to, the time to register, how much you want it to round, the local currency symbol. You can apply so many different settings. You can put your dimensions if you want to do more analysis on that kind of data. Everything that's related to posting, the reporting, how you want your account schedules. So really you have a million settings here, so make sure you get familiar. It's too much to run through for this video, but definitely look around. And of course, Business Central is always very easy to understand. So if you just mouse over a field, it'll tell you exactly what it does. So feel free to do that and explore the different settings. But this is also where you can set up everything related to payment tolerance, payment discount groups, and a bunch of other really cool settings. So find out, look around. I'm sure you'll find very interesting settings.
And so now that Charlie has looked into the company information and the general ledger, he decides to take a stab at the chart of accounts. A chart of account is basically a complete list of every account in the general ledger of a company, and it can be broken down into subcategories. And so Charlie, when he went into the chart of accounts, he decided that he wanted to organize it a little bit more by grouping some accounts. And so since he would like to do some changes to many different lines, he will open this up into Excel. And we sure know that a lot of you guys are Excel enthusiasts out there. And so you can also pin this feature for quick usage as well.
Getting into the chart of accounts, there's of course this is really one of the hearts of your finance, so all your different accounts. And one of the things that's really nice, of course, is that you can set up all these different types for your accounts. So having a begin total, an end total, so you can have Business Central automatically calculate a bunch of things. So for example, if we look here, we're going to have a begin total for everything that's assets. And at the end of that, we're going to have an end total, right, for everything that was assets, the whole list of accounts. So you're going to be able to quickly find all the data broken down exactly how you want it to. So you can create your account. Is it a posting? Is it an end total, begin total? All these different kind of things. And it's going to auto-calculate the total for each of these. So of course, you can also see the net change and the balance columns. You can do a bunch of things. So the categories, the subcategories that you can create to configure it exactly how you want, as well as reconciliation options. Is direct posting allowed? There's really a lot of settings here. This is probably one of the biggest parts in terms of setup, making sure that you have an appropriate chart of accounts. That's exactly what you need. So make sure that this is tailored exactly to your business. So if you're doing reimbursement to employee expenses, if you're dealing with international customers, it doesn't matter exactly what you need, because at the end of the day, Business Central is going to allow you to configure that chart of accounts exactly what you need to, and make sure that the information is easily readable and easily interacted with, right? In terms of Excel integration, as you can see in the next slide, as you mentioned, Taruna, we're all very big fans of Excel, and you're always going to have in almost every page of Business Central the Excel integration, right? So this allows you to open and edit the page in Excel. So it's a secure connector that's going to verify your user credentials, of course, making sure that whoever is opening in Excel has the right to view the data in the first place, right? And also modify this data. But after that, you're able to work from it. You don't need to configure anything specific about the Excel connector. It's already built in. You just do your changes, you publish it back, and it's ready to go. So if your team or your employees are used to working in Excel, they're going to be very comfortable here. And as you mentioned, I know for sure that I have that button pinned because I just love working in Excel. I think we all grew up using it. So, at least for me, this is kind of my comfort area, being able to quickly change all those lines, do really rapid changes. Just a really nice feature.
So while Charlie was going through this, he found some interesting figures that he just wanted to double click into. And thankfully, he was familiar with some of the most frequently used buttons on customer cards. And so, for instance, he was looking into the history of every customer, their statistics, and their ledger entries as well. And then that also prompted him to investigate some of the prices and discounts that were granted to some accounts. And then just take action from there. And as Guillaume has mentioned a few times, there is an extensive ribbon up there that you can leverage to get all of these actions done. And so and so then he just kept exploring and understanding a little bit more of where these customers were headed.
And some of these buttons, again, way too many to go over all of them. But here are some that are very interesting, at least just understanding those customers and exactly what has taken place, as you mentioned, Taruna. So, when you're going into that customer, you can navigate to the dimensions. So, for example, if you want to set dimensions for analysis, let's say this is a big client and it's an international client, or no, this client is specific to a certain industry, all these kind of dimensions that you can set. And then every document or entry that comes from this customer is going to have that tag, that dimension for financial analysis later. So for example, you could see how much you've earned specifically from large international clients, or just large clients, or just international clients, and really play around with those variables in terms of data analysis. So very good to really dig into your finances. But as you mentioned as well, you can go into the history of a client. So see the ledger entries. So what has been done to the ledger because of this customer. Everything around the statistics, for example, for purchase or for payments. You're going to be able to set up prices and discounts, so special prices or line discounts that this customer may qualify for. You're going to be able to see related documents. For example, have you issued reminders for this client that he needs to pay, or credit memos? Do you want to issue one? You're going to be able to register customer payments, get customer statements. There's so many useful features, reports, statistics, and just everything really giving you the tools to understand what's going on in a customer and what's the next decision we want to make about it.
And so Guillaume mentioned reminders, and I think that's a really big feature about collecting collecting money is important for sure. And so if you may have remembered in the sales and marketing episode, we delivered a pretty large, or we sold a pretty large volume of chairs. And what Charlie realized now is that he hadn't received the associated payments with those. And so Charlie uses a create reminder feature to quickly generate those reminders for all customers based on filters that he thought was relevant. For instance, customers that were overdue or had unpaid invoices beyond 7 days. And then also, depending on what your company strategy is, you can also set these reminder prior to the payment. So let's say 7 days prior to payment, so that you can ensure timely collection as well. So there's lots of really cool things that you can do and just automate your processes with some quick reminders here.
That's exactly right. Just quickly being able to create reminders based on all those filtering conditions can be such a big time saver. It's just going to parse through all the documents and let you know exactly who owes you money, right? And you're going to be able to configure all these reminders in different parameters. For example, how long do you want to wait before sending one? Or do you want to space them out more? You can configure several levels. For example, as you see on the screen, maybe a 5 days grace period for the first reminder, maybe then 1 month, then another month, and of course, escalating penalties. Maybe you have additional fees. Maybe you want to calculate interest if they owe you money on large sales. So really, depending on how you've tailored your business processes or your collections process, you're going to be able to create exactly those reminders and send them to the clients, right? So you make sure you get your money back. We made those chairs, right? Let's get paid for them.
So now that Charlie has gone through some of the basic information of the company, and also even started actually working and trying to understand how to set up automated reminders for customers, today he also needs to purchase some new fixed assets. And so if you recall, our manufacturing manager was creating a new production line. These machines that Probark will use in its daily operation should be used for the next 5 years. So Charlie can easily define how these assets will depreciate, and have Business Central automatically calculate the depreciation value. And so this will basically allow Probark to understand the financial impact of the purchase and make sure that they're accurately analyzing the current operating costs resulting from using this new asset. Machines are usually a big asset, and so you don't want it to be going in all at once, especially if it's going to be used for the next 5 years. And so Charlie is also looking into creating deferrals and has Business Central show him the deferral schedule based on the cost and time period that he selected.
Exactly, Taruna. And depreciation is going to be extremely important to make sure that the asset is spread out through its lifetime, right? So its life cycle. So with Business Central, you're going to be able to put exactly where you want the depreciation posted, how many days, the document number, and all the parameters associated, and just make sure that the financial impact of this machine purchase is going to be accurately represented in your finances, right? And when it comes to deferrals, so a purchase that you might be deferring, that's also very important. You're going to be able to set up exactly how much you want to defer of a purchase. So maybe 100% is deferred, maybe only 50% is deferred. And you're going to be able to, of course, specify the period. So maybe is it a year, and how many periods is that? Are you deferring it over 12 months, so 12 periods in a year, how you want it calculated. And it's going to give you a schedule, so you know exactly what that looks like. along with what the financial values of that are. So really reducing human error in terms of quick maths. Sometimes when you're slightly inattentive and you make a mistake that can have huge impacts on your finances. So thankfully, Business Central just makes sure on its own and calculates exactly based on the parameters you input. So really useful features that's going to give you a clear view of your finances and the impacts of purchases or deferrals and depreciation.
So let's talk about pro forma invoices. If your business requires pro forma invoices to satisfy some internal purchasing approval processes or some international ones, you may want to consider using this feature. And it's quite simple to do in Business Central. And so for instance, Charlie can just easily create a pro forma invoice and give it to a client to ensure that there's accurate portrayal of their purchase. Another really important part of any person's finance or accounting purposes is payroll. And although that is not something that's offered out of the box in Business Central, so there's no module per se for payroll, we do have an extensive app. An extensive list of applications that you can find on AppSource. And so these are third-party applications that were developed. They're very reasonably priced as well. And then most importantly, they're quite easy to integrate within your existing Business Central environment. If you already are using an existing payroll partner, you can also look into understanding how easy it is to integrate that partner. And this is obviously something that Groupe Azur can help you with as well.
Would be happy to. And Truna, sometimes you might think an integration is a bit complex. I assure you that Business Central makes it easy. And specifically for the app source, it's as simple as installing the application and configuring it very quickly inside your Business Central instance, and you're done. It's a very quick process for a lot of payroll apps. But maybe maybe you don't want to deal with all that. Maybe you're just using a payroll partner. Well, it's very easy to just negotiate with that payroll partner exactly what sort of payment process you have them do all the payments, all the payroll functionalities, and then give you basically a journal of all that has happened, right? And so for Business Central, this is very easy to reintegrate. So you can import your payroll transactions. You're going to receive this document from your payroll partner, and you're just going to go in the general journal batch. You're going to import the file, map it exactly where you want to go. So for example, okay, this was, employee reimbursement for expenses at the job site, and just map that to the relevant GL accounts, and you're done. You post the transaction. So if you're working with a payroll partner, you don't need to do much. You don't need to integrate. You don't need to add other applications. You can just import the file to give you, and very quickly deal with all the payroll inside your finances.
So when it comes to journals and to apply payroll documents, so very similar to what Guillaume was just walking us through previously, you can use preview posting. And it's a feature that will kind of allow you just to understand where each entry would be posted. And so Charlie can also reverse a journal entry by simply navigating to the entry in the general ledger and then use the reverse register action. And then he can then issue a new he can then issue a new correct journal entry. And then journals in Business Central are quite flexible, so you can set up a journal to fit pretty much all of your company processes that you may have.
Yeah, and one thing I like the most about working with journals and just with Business Central in general is that it's going to save your work. As simple as that. So it's always going to automatically save your work. So you can come back to it later. For example, maybe you're filling it out. Your colleague calls you to decide. He needs to discuss something with you. You close the document. You come back to it. It's still there. Your data's still there. You don't need to re-enter everything. You don't have to start from scratch. So you don't need to save manually, and that's really really something that if you've lost a lot of work because you forgot to save something, I think it happens to a lot of us. Maybe hopefully I'm not I'm not the only one, right? But it's going to save your work. So just a nice quality of life feature. Exactly as we're talking about these journals, so it's very, very simple. You can preview posting, as you mentioned. But one of the things that I like the most about Business Central journals is that you can create templates. So you can really create a lot of different templates. So if you look at the first screenshot. You can create templates for assets, for cash receipts, give them, of course, types, where you want the balance account type, number series to make sure that the documents are tracked, and all these other different settings. So do you want to force the document to balance or not? Do you want to copy the value-added tax? All these different things. So you're able to quickly set up those templates. So if you're doing a lot of the same type of journal entries, well, you can just reuse the template, right? And in terms of reversing transactions, it's very simple. Do note that there's always a track of this. So of course, there is never any loss of data. This is extremely important for financial data integrity and auditing purposes. But make sure that you can always reverse a transaction. It's going to leave a track, as I mentioned, but you're able to correct it. So if you happen to make a little mistake, just go back and correct it. No big deal. So we're really flexible. You can do most of your bookkeeping with journals, and you can really configure them to fit exactly the way your company functions. So just really flexible. And while you're in the general ledger, you may sometimes, of course, want to know more about a specific GL account. So of course, you're able to just click inside, see exactly how it's configured. So there you're going to be able to set up everything, name, number, what exactly it is in terms of category, subcategory. So everything we saw earlier, more in depth. Is it a reconciliation account? How much money is in there? What's the balance? Search name if you want to find it easier. Is direct posting allowed? Is it blocked? So maybe we shouldn't use that account anymore. So a bunch of different settings. And of course, in the posting, you're going to be able to define everywhere you want to post it. So is it a tax group code? Where exactly do you want to post into different accounts? So this is going to be very useful, as well as a callback to deferral templates. So if you're using deferrals, you can add default deferral templates there. So just a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to configure your different GL accounts.
So now Charlie is at the stage where he's looking into closing the month. And so he'll kind of update what the exchange rate is, either manually, but most likely automatically, so that there can be a batch job update exchange rate. And then afterwards, he'll look into just adjusting the exchange rate to the general ledger entries and their new values. He can also calculate and print the VAT settlement. So they can report it, and once the bill is received, they can simply go to the general ledger, select the VAT account, and post the amount to Probark's needs to pay.
So, very, very easy, as you mentioned, everything is going to be VAT and exchange rate. So, you can do the exchange rate adjustment very simply. You put your start date, your end date. Maybe you want to add a description to it. And of course, specify when you want it posted. You can choose exactly what you want to adjust, so customer, vendors, and so on, or adjust general ledger accounts. You may be able to filter maybe by currency for which specific currency you want to adjust, or maybe you're only using one currency and you don't need that field. And so this is going to make it very simple instead of having to go through every single entry and doing the adjustment manually, right? In terms of VAT settlement, also very important, depending on how frequently you need to report it. So very, very simple. You can quickly calculate it, post it, and it's going to be able to basically give you that document in PDF and be able to send it through email or everything, thanks to its Office 365 and just Microsoft 365 integration. So that Outlook integration coming into play. And you're going to be able to specify settlement accounts, all those different kind of settings. So at the end of the day, you can just go into your general journal, post it into the VAT payables accounts, and you're done. As simple as that. It also offers another function feature that I think we should mention is reconciliation. So let's get into that.
So we heard all about VATs and exchange rates. Business Central also makes it quite easy to quickly reconcile customers, vendors, bank accounts, VAT accounts, and even inventory. So at the end of the year or the month, Charlie can close the completed year automatically through Business Central and then suggest the correct accounting period to close. And then you can quickly create a new accounting period as well and adjust the time period, opening and end dates, and so much more.
So we're not going to go into absolutely every single way of reconciling all these different entities. The ways vary slightly depending on what they are. But here's an example of just basically the reconciliation of customers and vendor accounts. So you're going to be able to choose all the different filters. So again, you can add many more filters. The list is very extensive. You can filter your tools by other filters, and you're basically going to be able to suggest exactly where reconciliation needs to happen. So this is something that's just very easy and quick to do in Business Central. In terms of accounting periods, as you mentioned, Taruna, you're going to close your year end. So you're going to be able to just simply click, hey, I want to close the year. As you can see on the screenshot, process, close year. And it's going to close the year by detecting which year just happened and suggest the creation of a new one. And of course, should you want to define another fiscal period, you can customize that, but usually everybody works around the same year, but maybe maybe your fiscal year starts at a different date for different reasons. So that's of course something you can do in Business Central. And there are so many more amazing features to discover in Business Central. We won't have time to go through all of them, but just to give you a quick mention, as we mentioned for audit integrity, there's always going to be a track of everything that happens in your system, so you can rest assured that you'll be able to figure out and make sure that you're ready for those audits. In terms of automation, you can automate a lot of your processes. For example, when we mentioned who owed us money in the reminders, well, Charlie can simply use an age accounts receivable reports and have it generate every week if he wants to on Friday to keep a list of everybody that owns the money. Bank integration. So if you're using a bank, as most of us do, right? Unless you have money under your mattress, you're going to be able to import your bank transactions and really facilitate all of that financial processing. There's really so much more to discover of Business Central, the Office 365 integration, so working with Excel without leaving Dynamics, the integration with Outlook. There's so much that you can do. And if you're feeling discouraged and frustrated at your finance and accounting system, Business Central can give your company the power, the efficiency, and the ease of usage that it deserves from a first-in-class cloud system.
And so Charlie, thankfully or not, I may be biased in this, but he had the advantage of going into Business Central to get up to date on all of the financials of the company that he just joined, and then just understand what the processes are, which are quite easily found in Business Central as well. And so it was a quick ramp up. But if you're in a company where potentially your system is actually not allowing you to do things as efficiently, is not allowing you to automate some processes, if you still think that you're doing a lot of manual copy pasting of data, then you either have four choices. You can do nothing and continue working on your business as is. You can hire more people to try to fix the problem and try to make sure that your employees are not overworked. You can expand your set of tools and so keep that system that you currently have as the core. But if you have a need for a specific type of process, you can try to get another application for that process and then integrate it with your current systems. Or my favorite is you can try to look into finding a new solution, a solution that's agile, a solution that will grow with your business, which is all that Business Central promises. You've probably heard this, but Microsoft invests quite a lot in research and development. A lot of the money goes back into the product, and this is how we're able to provide so many cool features, AI-infused features with a lot of forecasting capabilities, and then the ease of integration with Excel, with Outlook, with Office 365, the whole suite. The true power behind Business Central is that it's truly integratable with a lot of different applications, and your data is not siloed anymore. It's not sitting in a box alone. You actually have the power to connect it to so many other systems, whether it's Microsoft systems or not. You have that power in hand, and so those are basically the four different avenues that you can explore. If you are curious to hear more about Business Central, I believe Guillaume actually has a pretty cool offer that he's going to share.
I do, Taruna. And as you mentioned, inactivity can sometimes have huge costs, and maybe you're feeling a bit intimidated by how to take the next step. Maybe the cloud world and digital transformation, it seems foggy, it's challenging, you're not sure exactly what your business needs as the best solution. Well, Groupe Azure is offering a free workshop consultation, right? So this is going to be most beneficial for businesses that are looking to migrate their current maybe on-premise ERP to the cloud, or businesses that are just looking to improve their overall operational efficiencies, right? So if you're this sort of customer, you're this sort of client, or this sort of business that requires maybe just some guidance, it's a free workshop. Come talk to us, 1 to 3 hours of consultation, and we'll tell you how to get started. Schedule your workshop. So you're able to find the link right here below, and we'll be happy to help you out.
And thank you for watching today. Make sure to subscribe so that you can get the notification to the last-ish episode. I think there may be more episodes coming your way, but the next one truly is focused on kind of our CEO and our CIOs. And so you won't want to miss that if that is something that is important to you. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.